Hey there! If you're managing diabetes, you might have heard the buzz about cutting out bread altogether. I get it. Bread's like that cozy, comforting friend we all crave, whether it's a warm slice slathered with butter or a crusty piece soaking up your favorite soup. But here's the good news. You don't have to say goodbye to bread forever. Welcome to the Diabetic 365 crew, where we're all about helping you live your healthiest life with diabetes. Our team of endocrinologists and certified diabetes educators works with folks every day to share simple, real-world advice for managing blood sugar and feeling great. Whether you're dealing with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, or just want to make smarter food choices, we've got your back with tips that actually work. Today, we're diving into the world of breads that can fit into a diabetes-friendly diet when eaten in moderation. We're talking about options that won't send your blood sugar on a wild ride, plus some tips to enjoy them the smart way. So, let's talk about keeping bread on the table without stressing about your health. First off, let's clear up why bread can be tricky for folks with diabetes. Bread is mostly carbs, and carbs break down into sugar in your body. For someone with diabetes, that can mean blood sugar spikes if you're not careful. But not all breads are created equal. Some are packed with refined flour and sugar, while others have wholesome ingredients that digest more slowly, keeping your blood sugar steadier. The key is picking the right kind and balancing it with other foods. It's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that work for you and your body. So, what makes a bread diabetes-friendly? It's all about a few key factors: fiber, whole grains, low glycemic index, and minimal added sugars. Fiber slows down how fast your body absorbs sugar, which helps avoid those sharp blood sugar spikes. Whole grains are less processed than white flour, so they've got more nutrients and fiber. The glycemic index, or GI, tells you how quickly a food raises blood sugar. Lower is better. And added sugars? Well, the less, the better, because they can sneak in and mess with your levels. By focusing on breads that check these boxes, you can enjoy your favorite carb without feeling like you're breaking all the rules. Let's start with one of the MVPs of diabetes-friendly breads: 100% whole grain bread. This isn't the fluffy white stuff you grew up with. It's the hearty, nutty kind made from whole grain flour, like whole wheat, rye, or spelt. Whole grains keep the bran and germ of the grain, which are loaded with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. That fiber is a game changer because it slows digestion, helping your blood sugar rise more gradually. Look for bread that says 100% whole grain or 100% whole wheat on the label, not just wheat bread, which can be a sneaky way of saying mostly refined flour. Check the ingredients list, too. The first one should be a whole grain, like whole wheat flour, and there shouldn't be any added sugars hiding in there. One thing to watch with whole grain bread is portion size. A single slice of dense whole grain bread might have 15 to 20 grams of carbs, which can fit into a meal plan if you're mindful. Pair it with protein and healthy fats, like a smear of avocado or a slice of turkey, to balance things out. This combo slows digestion even more, keeping your blood sugar in check. For example, a whole grain toast with scrambled eggs and a side of spinach is a breakfast that's satisfying and won't spike your levels like a plain bagel would. Next up, let's talk about sprouted grain bread. This one's a bit of a rock star in the health world, and for good reason. Sprouted grain bread is made from grains that have been allowed to sprout before being ground into flour. The sprouting process breaks down some of the starches in the grains, making them easier to digest and lowering the bread's glycemic index. Plus, sprouted grains often have more protein and fiber than regular whole grains, which is a win for blood sugar control. Brands like Ezekiel or Alvarado Street Bakery make popular sprouted grain breads you can find in most grocery stores, often in the freezer section to keep them fresh. What's cool about sprouted grain bread is its chewy, nutty texture and slightly sweet flavor. It's perfect for a sandwich with hummus, cucumber, and grilled chicken, or even just toasted with a little almond butter. A slice usually has about 15 grams of carbs, similar to whole grain bread, but the sprouting process makes it feel lighter on your system. Just be sure to check the label for sodium, as some brands can be a bit heavy-handed, and high sodium isn't great if you're also managing blood pressure. Now let's get into sourdough bread. Oh, sourdough, crusty, tangy, and oh so delicious. Here's the deal. Sourdough isn't just a trendy artisan bread. It's got some legit benefits for blood sugar management. The magic happens during the fermentation process, where natural bacteria and yeast break down some of the carbs and gluten in the dough. This makes sourdough easier to digest and lowers its glycemic index compared to regular white bread. Some studies even suggest that sourdough might cause less of a blood sugar spike than other breads, even when it's made with white flour. That said, not all sourdough is created equal. Some store-bought versions are more sour-flavored than truly fermented, so you want the real deal. Look for sourdough made with simple ingredients: flour, water, salt, and a starter culture. Whole grain sourdough is even better because you get the added fiber and nutrients. A slice of sourdough with a bowl of veggie-packed lentil soup is a meal that feels indulgent but keeps your blood sugar in a happy place. Just stick to one slice and maybe add a side of grilled salmon or a handful of walnuts to round it out. Another great option is rye bread, especially the dense, dark kind you might find in Scandinavian or German bakeries. Rye flour has more fiber than wheat flour, and it's got a lower glycemic index, which makes it a solid choice for diabetes. Traditional rye bread, like pumpernickel, is often made with a mix of rye flour and whole grains, giving it that rich, slightly tangy flavor and chewy texture. The high fiber content helps slow digestion, and rye also contains compounds that may improve insulin sensitivity over time. When you're shopping for rye bread, go for the darkest, densest loaf you can find. Think brick-like rather than fluffy. Check the ingredients to make sure it's mostly rye flour and not loaded with refined wheat flour or sweeteners. A slice of rye bread with a spread of cream cheese and smoked salmon is a classic combo that's both delicious and diabetes-friendly. Just keep an eye on portion size, as rye bread can be carb-dense, with about 15 to 20 grams per slice. Let's not forget about low-carb breads, which have exploded in popularity lately. These breads are made with alternative flours, like almond flour, coconut flour, or flaxseed meal, which have way fewer carbs than traditional wheat flour. Some brands, like Base Culture or Thin Slim Foods, offer breads with as little as 2 to 8 grams of net carbs per slice, which is a game changer if you're strictly watching your carb intake. The catch? These breads can taste a bit different, sometimes nuttier or denser than regular bread, and they're often pricier. Low-carb breads are awesome for sandwiches or toast when you want to keep carbs super low. For instance, a turkey and avocado sandwich on low-carb bread with a side of leafy greens is a lunch that's filling and won't mess with your blood sugar. Just be aware that some low-carb breads lean heavily on additives or artificial sweeteners to mimic the taste of regular bread. So read the label if you're sensitive to those. Also, since they're low in carbs, you might be able to enjoy 2 slices instead of 1, depending on your meal plan. Now, if you're feeling adventurous and want to bake your own bread, almond flour bread is a fantastic homemade option. Almond flour is naturally low in carbs, high in healthy fats, and gluten-free, which is great if you're also avoiding gluten. You can whip up a simple almond flour bread with eggs, baking powder, and a pinch of salt. The result is a slightly nutty, moist loaf that's perfect for toasting or using as a base for open-faced sandwiches. A typical slice might have just 3 to 5 grams of net carbs, making it a super flexible choice. Baking your own bread also lets you control the ingredients, no sneaky sugars or preservatives. You can add extras like chia seeds or flax seeds for even more fiber and omega-3s. A homemade almond flour bread topped with mashed avocado and a poached egg is a breakfast that feels fancy but is totally doable on a diabetes-friendly plan. Plus, there's something so satisfying about slicing into a loaf you made yourself. Another bread worth mentioning is chia seed bread, or breads with added seeds like flax or sunflower. Chia seeds are tiny powerhouses packed with fiber, protein, and healthy fats, which all help stabilize blood sugar. Some brands mix chia seeds into whole grain or low-carb breads for extra texture and nutrition. You can also make your own chia seed bread by adding ground chia to an almond flour or whole grain recipe. The seeds create a slightly crunchy, hearty texture that's great for sandwiches or just eating plain with a little olive oil. When you're choosing any of these breads, here are some pro tips to keep in mind. First, always check the nutrition label and ingredients list. Look for at least 3 grams of fiber per slice and no added sugars. Second, stick to 1 slice per meal, especially if you're pairing it with other carb-heavy foods like fruit or potatoes. Third, balance your plate with protein, healthy fats, and non-starchy veggies to slow digestion and keep your blood sugar steady. For example, a slice of sprouted grain bread with grilled chicken, a handful of arugula, and a drizzle of olive oil is a meal that's balanced and delicious. Portion control is huge, so let's talk about that for a sec. It's easy to go overboard with bread, especially when it's fresh from the bakery and smells like heaven. A good rule of thumb is to treat bread as a sidekick, not the star of the show. 1 slice is usually enough to satisfy that craving without overloading on carbs. If you're eating a sandwich, consider an open-faced one to cut the carbs in half. And if you're really craving a second slice, try swapping it for a low-carb veggie like cucumber slices or lettuce wraps to keep things light. Timing matters too. Eating bread as part of a mixed meal, say with a protein-packed soup or salad, helps your body handle the carbs better than eating bread on its own. If you're super sensitive to blood sugar spikes, try eating your bread toward the end of the meal after you've had some veggies or protein. Some folks find this trick helps blunt the blood sugar impact. And don't forget to test your blood sugar regularly to see how different breads affect you personally. Everyone's body is a little different. Let's talk about how to shop for these breads because the grocery store can be a jungle. Head to the bakery section or the health food aisle where you're more likely to find whole grain, sprouted, or low-carb options. If your store has a freezer section for specialty breads, check there. Sprouted grain breads like Ezekiel are often frozen to stay fresh. Farmers markets are another goldmine for artisan sourdough or rye breads made with minimal ingredients. Just ask the baker about the ingredients to make sure it's the real deal. If you're eating out, don't be afraid to ask questions about the bread. Now, let's address the emotional side of bread, because, let's be real, food isn't just fuel, it's love, memories, and comfort. If you're feeling deprived without your daily bagel or croissant, it's okay to mourn that a little. But instead of focusing on what you can't have, try getting excited about exploring new breads. Maybe you'll discover a love for the tangy kick of sourdough or the nutty crunch of sprouted grain. Experimenting with new recipes or visiting a local bakery can turn bread into an adventure, not a restriction. Let's wrap this up with a few quick meal ideas to spark your creativity. For breakfast, try a slice of whole grain toast topped with mashed avocado, a sprinkle of feta, and a handful of cherry tomatoes. For lunch, make an open-faced sandwich on rye bread with grilled veggies, hummus, and a drizzle of balsamic vinegar. For dinner, pair a slice of sourdough with a hearty veggie soup and a side of grilled shrimp. And for a snack, toast a slice of low-carb almond flour bread and spread it with a little peanut butter and a few sliced strawberries. These combos are tasty, satisfying, and won't send your blood sugar soaring. At the end of the day, managing diabetes doesn't mean giving up everything you love. Bread can absolutely have a place in your diet if you choose wisely and eat it mindfully. Whole grain, sprouted, sourdough, rye, low-carb, or homemade almond flour breads are all great options that let you enjoy that bready goodness without derailing your health goals. Pair them with protein, fats, and veggies. Keep an eye on portions and check your blood sugar to see what works for you. You've got this. So next time you're craving a slice of bread, don't stress. Just reach for one of these diabetes-friendly options and savor every bite. Your taste buds and your body will thank you. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And here's to enjoying bread the smart way. Stay healthy, stay happy, and keep loving food.